You know, I love it when we talk horror on the show because you get two perspectives here. You get Miguel's perspective as someone who's pretty relatively new to the horror scene and the horror community, and then you get me, and I've been a horror fan, since I was a kid. And I'll tell you what, it's rare to find a horror film that genuinely shocks the hell out of you and leaves you wanting so much more. But Dave McRae and his partner Bruce Dale, and the incredible cast and crew of It's Me Billy have really done that. Um, Welcome to episode 23 of Let's Talk Movies, and tonight we are talking Bob Clark's 1974 classic Black Christmas and its unofficial sequel, It's Me Billy. Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Talk Movies. I'm Brad.
You know it is.
You know who it is. It's Miguel. And this is one of our most anticipated episodes so far. I've been watching Dave's show for about 2 years now, and I've been hearing about It's Me Billy so much. So I was really looking forward to discussing this. But before we get into Black Christmas, before we get into It's Me Billy, Miguel, how are you doing tonight? We had some technical difficulties before we started filming here. We were trying
You really had to do that? Come on.
I did have to do that.
Like, I don't know. I thought, look, I currently using the 2015 Dell Inspiron laptop or whatever the fuck it is. And the camera quality is great, but it's not all that great. And I thought I could do it on my phone because I got an iPhone 12. But for some reason, boy, we get like 5-second lags. I swear to God, I wish that was recorded so you could see how bad it was. It was terrible.
Internet speeds are good. Everything's good. It's just it's like a weird. I mean, it's at least a 5 or 6 second lag. Like it's pretty bad.
It was like a glitch in the Matrix. I'm not gonna lie.
It was a glitch in the Matrix. But,
how was your weekend been? I know you went camping.
Well, we did. We went camping last night. Well, first of all, I spent last night with you. Saturday night I spent with you.
Oh yeah, true. That's true.
We had date night. No, I'm kidding.
Date night.
My
Sorry,
wife was there
Julia.
too.
Okay.
We watched Black Christmas for, well, all of you who weren't there. We watched Black Christmas and It's Me Billy back to back. My second or third time seeing Black Christmas, I can't remember. It was Miguel's first time though. He had never seen it, and we watched him back to back. So that was pretty cool. I thought if we're gonna watch It's Me Billy, we're gonna do it right. But I'm doing
Luckily,
good.
they were short movies. I'm not gonna lie. Those are like,
Well,
especially It's Me Billy. It was like what, 45 minutes?
It was 42 minutes, I think. I mean, it's a short
42
film
minutes?
though. That's the point.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But yeah, we went camping last night. We're for real going camping tomorrow, and we're
They
taking
were prepping.
we're
Guys,
taking
they
the
were
pup.
prepping for it.
Well, I never put up a tent before, so we tried it in our backyard. We wanted to see how the dog would do. She loved it. She had a friggin' blast with the whole thing. It was pretty cold though. I will say that it got down to like 41. I got cold in the middle of the night. Like I was pretty chilly.
You chose
We
the
stuck it out.
day. You chose the one day where it was gonna be like really cold. Guys, in Kentucky, it was like 89 degrees like this last week. And then out of nowhere this weekend, it just
Yeah.
dropped to like 50 to 49.
Yep.
Like it dropped so quick. It went from 89 to 49, like it saw a state trooper on the interstate. And I was like, yo, you need to chill out, guy. Stick with the season. So
Yeah.
hopefully we come back to like freaking summer soon. Cause geez, your boy needs to get his color back.
Yeah, I know. It's weather here is crazy, man. It's freaking all over the place. I don't know.
It was
I'm sure people from other parts of the U.S. and Canada would say the same thing, but
They wouldn't say that in the West Coast. just
well,
say
I
that much.
like even in Florida though. In Florida, I mean, you get like sun showers and stuff like that, where I mean, it's sunny but it's raining, just like weird shit. There's weird shit everywhere you go with the weather.
I gotcha. But I
But
mean, to be honest, it was perfect atmosphere because we saw basically a Christmas movie, a scary Christmas
We did.
movie, and it was like 42 degrees.
I'll tell you what, I'm really in the Christmas spirit tonight.
What do
We're
you have?
halfway to Christmas. We're right at the beginning of June, or we're about to be. I got my Christmas mug.
Don't be that type of person. Don't be that type of person.
We're talking
where it's like-
Christmas horror movies.
Where it's like Christmas in July. I swear to God,
I got
Those
peppermint
people-
tea.
those people can trip on a broomstick.
and I may or may not have a little shot of peppermint schnapps in this tea. We don't know, but we'll leave that for the side. And I got my strobe lights on red and green tonight, so I have red and green on.
I have mine on green. You can't see it.
I'm really feeling. No, I can kind of see it in the corner a little bit.
It's like
I
a
can see
green
it.
hue.
Yeah, I'm feeling the Christmas thing. I'm trying to get in the mood. I'll tell
Well,
you
it's hot
what.
boy summer or hot girl summer,
It is.
whatever.
It is the summer. Well,
Whatever
except
they're
for last
saying.
night where it got to 41 friggin' degrees.
Oh
But
yeah.
that's a conversation for another time.
Mhm.
But yeah, so we'll think of this as our halfway to Christmas episode. We just had halfway to Halloween like a month and a half ago.
Yeah, we did.
So, but other than Black Christmas and It's Me, Billy, with me and Jules, what'd you watch this week?
I am one episode away from the season finale of Game of Thrones. I basically ran through that bitch over the week,
Dope.
and it's like I said, it's the first time I've seen the show like all the way through without watching YouTube videos.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty good. I even got my dad in it at the last couple episodes.
Still can't do it.
I went to the gym, and then I came back, and then when I got home, he was still watching it, and I was like, "How far are you?" And he was like, Hillman destroyed everything. I was like, yeah, yeah, she did. She does that. She flips a switch. So
Maybe
yeah,
I'll
it's good.
maybe I'll hit up Game of Thrones at some point. I'll try once I actually finish Breaking Bad, which hopefully I'll finish that in the summer.
Yeah, I would recommend getting on Game of
I
Thrones
will.
quick. It's pretty good.
I'm in the middle of playing through Resident Evil 7 for the second time because I'm not gonna lie, the first time I played through it, I like when it came out, I was in the middle of college, and I was like,
You didn't have enough time to actually enjoy it.
well, yeah, like I'm one of those people, like I want to get like lost in the story. Like I don't play it just to be like mindless. Like I'm playing it for the story. Like I feel like I'm playing a movie.
Mhm.
And I feel like, especially with Resident Evil, because like I've been such a fan of the franchise, and like I'm into the story, and I want to know like how the story progresses. Uh, but yeah, Resident Evil 7, like I would play through like a chunk of it, and then I'd go like 4 or 5 months without playing at all. And then I'd hop in and I'd play the next chunk, and then I'd go 6 months without playing. And it was just like I did that and I finished it. But honestly, I could barely even remember. Like when they announced Village and we did our trailer reaction stuff like a while back, I didn't even remember it, to be completely honest. Like I barely remember the story. So I'm in the middle of playing it again, and then once I'm done with that, I'm gonna finally buy Village, and hopefully
Yeah, because Village just came
hopefully I
out,
like
didn't
it.
it?
Yeah, people are. I've heard really good things about it, so hopefully I like it just as much. But I also watched King Kong '78 because I bought the collector's edition from Scream Factory.
How cheesy was it? I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, it's a cheesy ass movie.
Yeah,
I mean, it is what it is. It's
pretty
cheesy.
cheesy. Yeah.
It's a good movie. Like I like it. I really do. Um, but I hate that Kong is so like creepy in that movie because he really is kind of like, especially like at the beginning, he's still kind of like monsterish. But as him and Anne, like their like friendship grows, he gets very like
He enters 110% simp mode.
and it's like, what, homeboy, why are you looking like that? Like don't be looking at her like that. It's very strange. So, but it's still a good movie, and I'm glad I have it. I also introduced Julia to National Lampoon's Vacation because she had never seen
Oh,
Vacation.
okay.
She had never seen the first one.
Oh,
So
the
we watched the first
Griswolds.
one. I love those movies, man. One of my favorite series of all time. And then the Oddball. Don't ask me why. I was editing and I was working on stuff, and I wanted something mindless to put on.
Mm-hmm.
I put on Jaws 3. Which is a terrible movie, but
Is
it's
it?
fun. The story is not bad, but the CGI and the way they did the shark is atrocious. It has got some of the worst cinematography and CGI in any movie ever. It is
Oof.
awful.
Rip.
So
I haven't
it
seen.
looks
I
like
haven't seen any
terrible
of the
CGI.
sequels.
Dude, that'd be a fun summer commentary series too. There's only
Yeah.
4 of them.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When we said that we weren't gonna do commentary of Black Christmas, I swear we totally should have.
Well, my
You remember-
idea with that is that we'll do a commentary for Black Christmas and It's Me, Billy at Christmas time.
Okay. Well, I
think that
mean,
makes
like
sense.
my initial reaction of it was gold.
It was pretty funny.
It was
I'll
really
tell
good.
you what,
Bad.
as we move into talking about Black Christmas, because so side note, we'll probably talk Black Christmas for a little bit, and then we'll hop in, and the meat of what we're gonna talk about is we're gonna save It's Me, Billy for last. Um, but yeah, I didn't remember Black Christmas being funny until I watched it with you, and you had me laughing my ass off like the entire night.
Guys, like, look, horror community. I love you, but that wasn't a horror movie.
Oh bullshit! Yeah, it
That
was.
was just a straight up satire. The only like
It was a horror
I
movie.
told you I told you as soon as it happened that the the one scene at the very end where it's like you actually see Billy's eyes like in the corner of like the door handle.
Uh huh.
That right there, I'm not gonna lie, that scared me a little bit. I was freaked out. I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, the man's crazy.
It's iconic.
Yeah. And one thing I do like about that movie, Black Christmas, is that it didn't show the killer. It never showed the actual face of the killer. It
Yeah.
just made him seem like whenever he ran through the house and stuff, he was like a rat just scurrying through the fucking house. And that's actually pretty creepy.
See,
Like
this is why I
that was
said I like
creepy.
having two perspectives, because you have me and I'm like, it's like actual like the horror fan in me is like eating this shit up, and then you're like, Billy's just like a fucking rat running around the house all day. It's like, what?
He
But
is.
that's
He was
awesome.
like, well, because whenever she was running down the steps, and you can hear him like yelling, like trying to catch her, and you can't see him, but you can hear him like trotting really close. That shit was actually pretty scary. It's
It's
pretty
scary,
freaky.
dude. That
Yeah,
last chase scene is like, it hits the
yeah,
fan. Like it.
100%. But everything else before that, I was cracking my ass up. Who, the old guy, the one where the first girl that died, the father.
When Claire dies,
Yeah, when Claire dies, her
Mr.
father
Harris,
comes.
Mr.
Mr.
Harrison,
Harrison,
yeah.
yo, Mr. Harrison, I, yo, my guy, your daughter died. Your daughter went missing, and you with this monotone face, just not giving the day's light in the world about what's going
Oh my
on.
god.
He literally would
Maybe
just
we should have done a commentary.
everything about that movie was just like, wait, who? And you told me who wrote it? The person that wrote
Bob Clark. He was
Bob Clark. Yeah,
Bob Clark, who wrote A Christmas Story in 1986.
the fact that he
Maybe,
came
I'm
up
not
with
sure
that.
what story or when A Christmas Story came out.
The fact that he came up with that fucking cracks me up. I swear, it felt like a scary movie. You guys know what I'm talking about. Scary Movie 1, 2, and 3. That's kind of what it felt like in the
Did you
beginning.
really just compare Black Christmas to Scary Movie?
Yes, it kind of did.
I'm not gonna lie; these people might eat your ass in the comments. I'm just
Go
saying,
ahead.
like,
Eat it.
I'm just
Eat it.
being,
Eat it. Bend over. I'll bend over myself. Go for it. Okay, but look, the movie was cool. The movie was cool. It had some scary moments, but the humor in it literally tore me away from the aspect of it being a horror movie.
Well, okay. Here's my rebuttal on what you just said. I get it, but a couple things you have to remember. A, this was 1974.
Exactly.
You didn't have
Which
Halloween. You didn't have. You had Psycho. Did you have The Exorcist? I believe The Exorcist was 70. I think that The Exorcist was after. Maybe it was 72. Hey Siri, what year did The Exorcist come out?
Which one? Here are some options.
Are you kidding me?
Blue Exorcist.
73. So The Exorcist came out before. So The Exorcist came out before this. So you had Psycho, you had The Exorcist, which of course are two really important movies in horror. I mean, they're like in the top 5 most important. But you didn't really have a slasher like you got in the late 70s with Halloween or in the 80s and the 90s. This was one of the first slasher films. So I get what you're saying about it being kind of almost spoofy-ish, but it's that classic slow burn. The whole point of the film, you brought up like the ending chase scene where Billy's like finally like he finds Jess, or not. I mean, he knows where she is, but he's like chasing her down the stairs and whatever. The movie, it builds tension very slowly, albeit, but it builds and builds tension, and it just keeps like building and building and building until finally Jess just like loses it. Like she finally screams, like the whole "What do you want? Where are you?" She's screaming for her friends. Because you gotta admit, Jess stays pretty calm through the whole movie. Like I mean, she gets upset, but she's pretty like she's pretty composed. Like she's handling the situation. And then of course at the end, when she realizes that her buddies are dead, that the call is coming from inside of the house, that's when she's like, oh shit. And that's when she kind of loses it. And of course, that's when we get the wild and crazy version of Bill, which of course Billy's crazy through the whole thing. But we really get Billy like unhinged, where he's got the like laughing, crying, bawling, whatever, angry, all the emotions like at one time when he's chasing her through the house and stuff. And that's scary. Like I think that is supposed to be the climax, the peak of the tension. It's like you've built it, so it's like a roller coaster that like climbs for like 30 minutes really slowly. Like that's kind of how I equate Black Christmas. It's like going up a roller coaster like to the peak, but you're going unbelievably slow. And then when you get to you're like, oh my god, come on already, and you get to the top, and then it's like you're dropping, like you drop hard. So that's kind of how I equate Black Christmas. I do get what you're saying though, and we do need to do a commentary because like Mrs. Mac, like some of that stuff is funny. Like you had me laughing, and the first time I watched it, I was sitting in here with these red and green lights on, with the lights off at Christmas time, with a candle on, watching it. Like that was like and so it's a different vibe when you're watching it in the summer with all the lights on in the afternoon versus watching it like in the dark alone. I mean, I don't know. That's why you're looking at me like I'm weird.
Because I'm not. Because guys, Julia and me watched it with Brad, and this man was defending this movie for the. I was defending it,
dude. It's important. It's a very important movie in the horror world.
I'm not saying it's not an important movie in the horror genre. All I'm saying is that we were pointing out some major inconsistencies and brain farts in this movie, which I get it, guys. I get the fact with these 70s movies, like it's trying things out for the first time, but for God's sake, there's so much humor in this movie that by the time it got to the climax, you weren't as like nervous with it. I'll be honest though, when the movie came out in the theaters and I saw it back then, all the way up to the big plot twist whenever they find out where the call's coming from, that would have been pretty like spectacular. I would have been like, holy shit, like the call's coming from inside the house.
Yeah, I remember when I was watching it the first time, that was a moment where I was like, that was I think even with all the deaths and everything, like, you know, Barb's death when she has the asthma attack and whatever, and we'll get into that in a minute. But I think when John Saxon's character tells Jess that the calls are coming from inside the house, like he's in there with you. That was the first time that I was like, oh damn. Like it was the first time I really felt like, holy crap. Like I didn't expect that. Mm-hmm. So that was.
But like, I don't know. It's like.
Not that you don't expect it, but
yeah, I know. But like, yeah, you kind of
the characters are realizing it for the first time. It's like as an audience member, you know, and it's almost like the tension comes because as an audience member, you want the character to like if you could tell Jess yourself, you would, and be like, yo, get out. Like they're all dead, get out. But
yeah, look, guys, also like whenever Claire died in the first time and it was a missing case, that should have been the end of the movie. Like they would have like made that scene. They would have made that house a crime scene to investigate. But instead, my boy, what's his name? John Claxton. John
Claxton. Oh my God, John Saxton.
John Saxon.
He played what was his name? Lieutenant.
The detective.
I'm drawing a blank.
Lieutenant Dunce. Every single one of them. I'm not gonna lie. Look, guys. Look, no.
What's his name? That's bothering me.
Yeah, you can look it up. But
it's bothering me.
All I'm saying is that with this whole fucking movie, one thing that really pissed me off were the cops. I've never seen
Lieutenant Fuller.
Lieutenant Fuller.
Yeah,
Lieutenant full of
I wanted to say Kent
shit.
or something for some reason.
Lieutenant full of shit. Oh my god. This man was just all he was there, he was just eye candy for the entire time. Give him that look, that look around.
Miguel is not a fan of. This is an observation I've made since we started doing the show. Miguel is not a fan of cops or anything like that in horror movies. He hates Dr. Loomis.
Continue. Yeah, continue. I was like, please continue with that statement. Yeah, they all suck because they have absolutely no common sense.
They're really about. You just said Dr. Loomis sucks. You're really about to get shit now.
Do what?
You just said Dr. Loomis sucks. These Halloween fans are about to come on here and rip you apart.
I'm talking about, correction. I'm talking about Dr. Loomis and Rob Zombies.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That is fair. You are talking about Malcolm McDowell's Dr. Loomis.
Yeah, Malcolm McDowell.
You haven't fully experienced Donald Pleasance's Dr. Loomis yet.
Yeah, I hope he has.
That's good. You caught me. You got me.
I hope he has, more common sense than the other one. Because I'm not going to lie. Every single moment, these cops in this movie, they were just absolute idiots. They literally took all of these major reports, missing reports, calls coming in, and they're like, just a prank call. I'm like, what? I'd be like, bitch, go and investigate. At least what's his name? Lieutenant Fuller went down there to actually investigate, but he didn't really investigate. He just walked around and was like, looks like a house. It's a house.
You know, this movie was really influential to Halloween, right?
Was it really?
Yeah.
They must have did a way better job because I haven't seen Halloween. So I have the bar set really high. Or I mean the bar is set really low if you think about it. And guys,
I can't wait to see it. Guys, please leave comments. I can't wait to see it.
You can make fun of me. You can blow me up.
I am dying to see the comments that this video
I swear,
gets.
Your wife will agree with me too. That movie, this
probably
movie,
will.
It was good.
Horror community. I'm with you. Horror community. I get it. I love Black Christmas. I think it's. I get.
I'm not saying the movie sucks. I'm just saying it's a 70s movie. That's all I can say. It's definitely a 70s movie. It has that 70s humor, that 70s common sense.
Fair enough.
And that 70s innocence or naivety or whatever the fuck that word is. They were all just so fucking naive to the point where it's like, yo, just fucking leave the house. Every single one of them. All of them could have just left. All of them could have left. And you know one thing that really pissed me off was the fact that at the end, whenever she kills her boyfriend or her baby daddy, and he kills her in her house, I'm pretty sure standard procedure for an investigation is to seal that house off and do a full-scale investigation in that house. But you know what? They said, you know what? She went through something very traumatic. Let's put her back in her bed and leave her there for the night.
I will agree with that. That's pretty dumb.
I said that, and then in my head, while that was all happening, I was like, you remember what I said? I said, did they find the other bodies? Did they find all the bodies? And then it pans out into the attic.
Claire and those two are still there. Mac were still in the attic.
They were still in the fucking attic. Still in the fucking attic. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? There was a murder. Somebody got killed in that movie. In that house. And the cops were like, let her sleep in there. It'd be fine.
You know, you need to write a horror script. You need to write a treatment or a script for a horror movie because yours would be really simple. Something shady happens, they get in the car and leave and drive away. It's over. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Have a little bit of common sense. That's it.
Hold on. It's just let me think. I'm trying to remember this comedian. Ari Spears. If you guys know what I'm talking about,
I have
look
no
him
idea
up.
who that is.
He mentioned about horror spectacularly about how Eddie Murphy and Ari Spears. He mentions about how black people can't be in horror movies because Eddie Murphy said in his comedy special Delirious, he said if a black person was in a horror movie and he went to this house and he says, oh, it's a nice house. And it turns out to be haunted. And all of a sudden he's walking around. It's like, this is a really nice house. I can't wait to buy it. And then all of a sudden you hear, get out. And he's like, well, too bad we can't stay. Get the fuck out. Exactly. That's exactly how I expect that to happen. But no. And then Ari Spears was with You can't have black people in the horror movie because they have too much common sense. Like you have people in the bushes in the fucking cornfields having a party, doing some white people shit, and they're all here dancing and shit, having fun, and then they hear like some suspicious shit. If I heard some suspicious shit, I'd be dancing like, hey, that's cool. Yeah, this is all good. What the fuck was that?
I want
Let's
you to
get the
know,
hell out of here. I'm not like these people that are like, they're dancing. What the heck was that? We got to go investigate. No, I'm
when
not
I
going to
was
go investigate. I'm out the fucking door. I'm out the fucking door. I'm completely out the door. I'm not going to say, I get a call, ring, ring. It's me, Billy. I'm out the door. Matter of fact, I'm keeping my 9 with me at all times, straight up.
oh
1970
my
was
god.
this was before most of the major gun laws came in. Everybody should have been strapped in that bitch. Everybody should have. If everyone would have, if any one of them had a gun, that movie would have been dead set.
This is
Also,
not at all where I thought this conversation was going.
that's because I got so much to say about this goddamn movie. And I'm sorry if the horror fans are like, if they're gonna bite my ass, but I'm pretty sure half y'all fucking agree with me. Because you see how he's acting up in the attic. He's out here like throwing a fit and just throwing shit everywhere. I would have heard that, and I'd have been like, "Well, we need to get the fuck out of here." I'm not gonna think it's one of my sorority sisters. In the movie, I'm pretty sure if one of them heard it, they're probably be like, "Oh no, it looks like Elizabeth is upset in the attic. Maybe I should go check on her." No, no. If I heard some shady shit in the attic, I'd be like, "Has anyone been in the attic?" And if anyone says no, we're getting the fuck out. And I'm calling the cops straight up. That's just how it is. And then we could talk about It's Me Billy as much as you want.
Well,
I'll
we're
rip that shit up too.
don't.
I'll rip that shit up too. I'm sorry, guys.
Nah.
I'm sorry.
Let's talk about Billy the character for a minute. I'm gonna wind you down. I'm gonna rip you off that pedestal for just a second, and I'm gonna let you cool off in the corner. You're gonna take a timeout.
Okay.
Let's talk Billy for a second.
Right.
There's a whole lot of mystery to that character. And you talking about the attic thing kind of made me think of this. The movie does a really when he's throwing stuff around in the attic and screaming and like mumbling and whatever. This movie does a really good job setting up that it makes it look like Peter. It straight up looks like Peter is the one doing it.
Like me and Julia were straight saying that too.
Yeah, I mean, he's a serious musician. He's at a conservatory. He's a pianist. He fails his juries or his recital or whatever that was. And take it from a musician.
We both know it's like the fuck up of recital.
Artists can be obsessive.
Yeah.
Peter was the kind of person and the type of artist that was obsessive over it. That's all that mattered.
Peter had a DV case written all over it. Peter was straight up domestic violence, like straight up. Whenever I saw him, the way he was when they first talked, when Jess, is that her name, Jess?
Yes, Jess Bradford.
Okay, when Jess and that dude were talking in the piano and in the piano studio, and she was saying, "I'm pregnant, I'm gonna get rid of the baby." The way he was acting, which there's a certain way you can react with that, but the way he was reacting was straight up, yo, catch us, man. He's about to catch a case right now because he acted really possessive, too irrational, and too emotional. And you saw that, right? Whenever he failed the jury and he just decided to up and straight up break a piano.
He destroyed the piano.
Which, by the way, I'm sure that wasn't his piano.
No,
he's
of course
paying
that
for that
wasn't
shit.
his piano.
Oh wait, he's dead. Never mind. He's dead.
Here's the deal. He was very obsessive over his work and his music. And even look at him when he found out that Jess was pregnant. He he shattered the Christmas light in his hand or something like that. Like he had some issues. Like he had some very selfish anger issues going on. I know like one of the big points of contention in the movie was the fact that Jess wanted to have an abortion. She didn't want to keep the baby, and Peter wanted to. But I think Peter wanted that for his own selfish reasons. I don't think he really wanted to marry Jess and wanted to have a kid with her. I think maybe it could have been more for appearances, just to say he has the wife, he's got the kid, he can, keep up the artist like look. Also, I think he was just trying to do like what was right in
No,
that situation
it's
with
because he didn't have any control over the situation, because when you're as just looking from the movie, like he was a piano player, and like every time he could play, and every time I saw him play, it looked like he didn't have much control. And he's the type of person that wants to be in control of everything. He's a controlling person.
yes.
So whenever Jess came by and says, "I'm having a baby and I'm getting rid of it," like when he got that news, he felt out of control for the situation, and then
Right.
he was reacting irrationally. So for the entire movie, he spent the entire time trying to get control of the situation, and he became kind of deranged technically, because you saw it with the phone calls. Bro, with the phone calls, Detective Sexy over there was like, "Do you think it's your boyfriend? Because I just heard the call and he sounds distraught. Is there any chance it could be him?" I'd have been like, "Yeah, it could be him. It could have been him. Go and check the shit out."
Yeah.
So like he was very much person like shown to be a deranged person, and it made sense for me at the time to think, okay, Billy is Peter. It's Peter. It has to be
Right.
Peter, because the way he's
Well,
acting throughout the entire movie.
and it's creative because we as an audience, I mean, obviously, if you're watching it for the first time, it
Mhm.
does a really great job of, you don't know, is it you as an audience member, you're sitting there thinking, holy shit, is it Peter? Is it somebody else? Who is it? And of course we find out it's not. But I it kind of goes back to talking about Billy. You had said that you really liked, and you said this early on, you said you really liked the creative choice not to show Billy and to kind
Mhm.
of keep him ambiguous.
Yeah,
And I think that's pretty smart too,
that's
based on
one of
the
the major things I liked about the movie. Yeah,
yeah. And you've already ripped Black Christmas apart. uh,
there were moments that I liked. Get the fuck out of my face, okay? I liked the movie. I thought it was cool, but the common sense that I see in the movie, or the gap of common sense, that's the one I have a
it's
problem
not
with.
the movie; it's the horror tropes of the characters are stupid
Yeah,
in horror
the
movies.
usual horror themes I don't
I
get.
gotcha. I
So
gotcha. I
it's
gotcha.
just
I
the way it
gotcha.
is. But in regards to the director's
I still
choice,
can't
and
protect you from from the people in the horror community,
fucking
though.
go ahead, man. Reel me in. I would love to talk to you guys in the comments, without a doubt. But
uh,
in regards to like the director's choice, and like and the way they showed Billy was actually pretty scary,
it
because
was.
most horror movies that you see, you know who the killer is, you see his face, and then he just goes around fucking shit up. But
Hmm.
with this one, it was very ambiguous. It was mysterious. You didn't know who the killer was, so you're just trying to like, it's suspenseful because you're trying to figure out who it could be. Because remember, at first I thought it was a woman because the way it sounded like on the phone.
Hmm.
The first call, I thought it was a woman. No, 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 no. It was the first time you see him leave the attic, when you hear he was like floating down the fucking ladder. It didn't look like he was climbing down. He would just like,
Man, you're harsh tonight. You're going for it, man.
no, okay, okay. Anyways, when I saw the hand, I thought it was like, it looked pretty feminine. So I was like, okay, it's probably a girl. It's probably a sorority sister that's pissed off at all the sisters. Which, granted, it could. I thought it could have been the case, because all of them are fucking terrible. They're all terrible. Well, I guess some of them weren't that bad. What's her name? The one that was downing her own bottle of fucking
Barb.
whiskey, Barb. Yo, Barb. I love Barb in that movie. She was hilarious.
Yeah, Margot Kidder, she did a really good job with that role.
She
I
was she
I like
was
that character too.
she was 24/7 down a bottle
I
right
mean,
there.
I liked her just because of how blunt and like to the point, and it was I thought it was a good contrast to Jess, because Jess is she's very
Naive.
serious the whole time.
Yeah, just
Like she's very like, she knows what she wants, her head's down, she's just like, she's just pushing the whole time. Like, I feel like I could see her being somebody who's very very studious, really serious about whatever she's doing. And
I could tell
back
she was going to be the final girl, because it didn't really
yeah,
like, usually the final girl is the first person you see, right?
it
But it
focuses on
wasn't.
them, yeah, and it really
Yeah,
didn't focus on her until like halfway through the second act. Um,
exactly.
but the thing with Billy, you mentioned like thinking it was a woman. For me, I think the phone calls, I always kind of assumed like either multiple personalities or some form of schizophrenia or
Yeah.
something similar to that.
Hmm.
Um, it's also very sexual. I don't know if you picked up on that. I mean,
I was 100%.
especially the first couple of calls, it's
It was dirty
very
as hell.
oddly sexual.
Yeah.
And the multiple personalities, and we, of course, it's me, Billy. Like, even begs more questions about him because we'll get to that in a few minutes, but I mean, it just Billy is a very interesting villain because of how little we know about him.
Yeah.
And it's just so weird. Like, it's so wild and so all over the place. And that's what's kind of weird. Usually, the killer in a movie, or the antagonist they either have a motive or they have some form of personality. Even Michael and Jason, the masks, uh
The mass killers. Yeah.
they
You know what
have,
their motives are.
well, you don't even necessarily know the motive, but at least they have kind of an identity.
Yeah.
And Michael Myers, especially, he's supposed to be ambiguous. You're not really supposed to understand why, but at
Hmm.
least he has an identity, and that may be just because of how big the franchise is, and being a Halloween fan, I might think that. But Billy, there's really no identity there. It's very ambiguous and it's very mysterious, and I think they were smart to do that. Um, I don't know. I think it makes him a very interesting villain. It really
Billy, by
does.
far, I would say, in regards to like slasher villains in the horror genre, Billy is probably one of the most interesting one to me because yeah, you didn't know who he was or what his motives were. I mean, he was just like a deranged guy, just like stuck in an attic. Yeah, I can't
Well,
I can't
because
really like put my finger on who Billy is or was because throughout the movie it didn't really like depict anything. It was just like I mean, they weren't even focused on someone being in the house. They were just focusing on like who the hell is making these calls.
yeah, well, and it makes you wonder, where did Billy come from? What is he doing
Fuck
there? What is
yes.
he doing there other than just killing? I mean, obviously we know he's going there to kill them, but like, why did he pick that house?
How did he get in the house?
Well, we
Why
know
is
how
he
he
in the
got in the
house?
house because he climbed up at the very beginning. Remember, he climbed up the rafter and got into the attic.
Oh yeah.
But again, why that house? Why
Also,
them?
yeah,
Where did he
he
come from? What's
he
his
sounds
backstory? What's his
he
deal?
sounds like a deranged person. So
Yeah,
obviously this man had to been held up in some type of like mental
maybe
shithole.
he wasn't. Who knows?
Like what? Like I'm curious. Like, did he like escape some mental hospital? Was he just like living across the street and he just went
Yeah,
all the cords just got disconnected and he just went deranged? I don't know.
I don't
That's
know.
what's interesting about him is the
Well,
fact that you don't know why he is the way he is. He's just a deranged schizophrenic split personality. Which, by the way, um, that was like I like the whole split personality thing mainly because I like the movie M Night Shyamalan's Split.
hmm,
Or no, is it Split?
it's
It's
split.
Split.
Yeah,
Split the first
I've
one,
never
right?
seen it still, but
It's pretty good because it shows like multiple personalities pretty well,
mhm,
and multiple personalities is probably one of the most interesting phenomenons that I in the mental health world because it's so interesting to know that in your mind has different minds. Like it's not just one mind. It's like 12 different other ones that are just like running around making voices in your head and
yeah,
giving each have a personality taking control.
hmm,
And he had some signs of that type of personality. I don't want to call it mental disorder. I don't want to like do any stigmatization on that. But it was so interesting to show that he had different personalities because it made you think like because one thing I noticed was in the phone on those phone calls, it had like different voices and it sounded like he was killing someone in there. And I was like, how is this happening?
it almost
Because,
sounds like he's arguing with himself, and something that's always, even before it's me, Billy. Take it's me, Billy, out of the picture for a second. Um, at one point in one, I forget what scene it is, but at one point in one of the phone calls, Billy actually says something along the lines of, "Make it stop, please make it stop." or something about making it stop or please end this or what. I don't remember exactly what I mean, it's gibberish pretty much, but he says something about make it stop. And it almost makes me wonder, like, does a piece of him know what he's doing is wrong?
Yeah,
And of
I'm
course,
sure.
then with It's Me Billy, with that whole crazy twist at the end, there are so many different questions about Billy and about his backstory, and of course the time in between Black Christmas and It's Me Billy. But before we hop into It's Me Billy, favorite death scene from Black Christmas?
You're talking about mine?
Yep, favorite death scene.
Housewife.
Yeah, I think Miss Mac is mine too.
Miss Mac.
Yeah.
I was like, I in my again another another thing. Fucking the way her death was. It just yeah. I was just like, what? I was like, what? What the fuck just happened?
I think
because like it was like because old boy, he was just sitting there, he was like just ready to go. I would hear that shit. I would hear the deep breathing. I would hear the rattlings. I'd be
well,
like,
she did hear it. That's why she turned
now.
around. And of course, as soon as she turned around, I mean, the sound of it too, because you don't necessarily like even see it happening until after it's done and she has the holes or whatever. But the sound of like the bluntness of it, I was like, oh
yeah.
But that was a good one. Creepiest moment. For me, the creepiest moment, the eye is pretty good. I like when you see his eye through like the corner of the between like the door frame and the actual door
hinge. Yeah.
But I think the creepiest moment in the movie for me is Barb's death. After she's drunk and she has the whole little like conniption fit with Mr. Harrison and Mrs. Mack and what's her name?
Great Value Velma.
Damn, Miguel. Phil, that's her name. As soon as she has her little fit with them and she goes to bed and she's drunk, and of course she starts having the asthma. Well, first you kind of see Billy creep in there, and then she has the asthma attack.
She straight up said, she was like, I think I had a bad dream that someone was in my house. I was like, bitch.
That's the thing that makes it creepy, though, is we as an audience know that Billy is in there, and it's playing with your mind because it's like, God, he's in there with you, like, and of course Jess runs in there and she's having the asthma attack or whatever, and of course she's drunk, she's half asleep, she's drunk, she's out of breath from having the asthma attack. She's not in the right mind to think, Jess, there's somebody in this room, like that was what I just saw was real. And what makes it creepier is the fact that when Jess and Phil are in there with her, Billy is in the room. He's in the room, like standing just 2 or 3 feet away from them, probably in the shadows, and that makes it creepier. And then of course her death scene, it's not. I don't. Hers is creepy too.
Again, yeah, the kill
close
scene
contender for Mrs. Max.
Yeah, the killing scene in that. I remember me and Julia looked up and she was like, she just got stabbed. Why is she getting? Why does she like? What was her reaction? Just go up like that. I was like, what? Because the way she got stabbed, if you get stabbed, you get down. Yeah, I thought it was weird.
You are reading like, way too far into this.
It was like one of those like typical because in like Psycho, right? Whenever it's like she comes out of nowhere and she's like stabbing the.
Yeah, but you don't actually.
You can't see it. So she's acting. She's acting like she's getting stabbed. You know what I mean? And like the way she was whenever she's getting stabbed.
I'm trying to think back. But with Marion Crane, it's different though because, I guess you don't really see Margot Kidder getting stabbed either. But
yeah,
she almost looks like she's standing still in Psycho. Like she's kind of like blocking it, but she's not really moving a whole lot. All you really see is the hand going like that, like with between like the water and the shower curtain. That's really all you see. And then of course you see Janet Leigh's body like kind of fall down and like but that you don't really get to see as much.
It was a very much typical like 70s death kind of thing. Because like I've seen most of the 70s movies, like most of their deaths are pretty like over exaggerated pretty much. And it makes and I get it. But yeah, that death right there was pretty free. That scene right there is pretty weird. What else? Like I said, at the end, whenever he's chasing her, like after the eye thing, like when he's chasing her, that's probably second to like one of my most creepiest thing because it's like you see the foot, you see the foot running through there. You could see him run and yelling when she's like at the door or
What do
trying to
you?
run away. You know when
Oh,
Jess,
the
yeah,
banister when Jess takes off
yeah, when Jess
at the
takes
end.
off and
Yes, yeah.
you see him, you see his foot
Uh
running
huh.
and you hear him yelling. Yeah, that's crazy. Like again, if I was in the dark alley and I had someone, actually I did. I had a moment like that where someone is just yelling
You had a
and screaming.
psychopath chasing you through an alley.
No, I remember I had a. I remember I was walking really late at night, and all I heard was yelling, and someone was running, and like pretty far away from me, and in my head it was like, "Yep, I gotta get the fuck out of here." And I just jet the hell out of here. And guys, look, this is how scared I was as a kid. All right, let me preface my like little knowledge of this horror movie, and this is why, because I'm a pretty scared kid back then. I remember in elementary school, we were all playing the playground, and there was this kid who just like I knew him, and we were and like I knew of him, but like he would make this sound. It sounded like it was like an I don't know. It was like it sounded really weird. He would make this like weird sound and just run around, act like a T-Rex or whatever. But his sound really freaked me out. And I'm talking like 12 o'clock in the afternoon. 5-year-old me literally see the kid running up, making that sound. And you know what I would do? Piss my pants and literally run to the teacher crying.
Dude,
That's how much of a scared shithead I was back then.
I'm trying
Also,
to turn you into a horror fan, but you're kind of. I don't know if I should now.
well, okay,
I'm trying to
I
get
have
you to join the
since
dark side with me,
I
man. But
have I have since like grown out of my like irrational fears back then. But I remember another time where he intentionally did it. I was in art class and I walked out and I needed to go use the restroom. So I went to the restroom. I had my hall pass. You get a lane, you put it over your neck, and you feel like Superman. And you walk. And I went to the restroom. And when I turned the corner, there he was, and he went. He like did the he did the roar, and I just stood there. I was like, I just turned around, went back to my class, and I just started bawling my eyes out. Like I was in such shock that I just sat there and just bawled my eyes out.
how did
So
we?
that's I
How
was
did we get here?
because I was talking about like how he was running down through the thing yelling.
Hmm.
That reminded me of my childhood right there, where this kid was just
I
like
gotcha.
making weird noises to me. Like that initiated a childhood trauma of mine. And
Yeah.
I was like, yo, that was actually pretty freaky. So yeah, that was probably that was probably my second scariest moment there because
Yeah. That
it
it.
was it was just the fact that like you see it running through the frame, but you can't see him, but you can hear him. You can hear him get close. And that's a freaky thing.
Well, and again that kind of goes back to what we talked about at the beginning, where it's a major point. It's like the tension comes to a head at that moment because it is relatively quiet. It's not a loud movie. There's not a real score. It's more of a
Mhm.
soundscape, sound world kind of thing. It's not wild and crazy like a lot of horror movies are. If you look at The Exorcist relies on shock factor. It's so grotesque and it's so over the top
No,
nasty that
The
it's like
Exorcist.
that's what makes it scary. This movie, it's almost like it kind of tricks you. Like I said about the roller coaster thing, it's so kind of laid back and chill for the majority of it, even with the other deaths and things like that. That at that moment when he's screaming and just like unhinged and it's wild and crazy like that, it's like when you're in the basement and you shut the lights off and you run up the stairs, even though you know nothing's down there,
Yeah.
except at that moment there's actually something down there and it's screaming and chasing you. And it's like I said, it's this weird mixture of laughing and crying and screaming out of anger. It's just like it's this weird mix of personality and emotion that just makes Billy.
Yeah.
And again,
He
that's
was
what
he was
that
at
like,
his peak craziness right there.
and that's
And
what makes
that's what made it really scary. I'll agree
well,
with you
that's
on
also
that.
what makes the end of It's Me, Billy so like what the like I was blown away. I don't know. I'm not gonna give Black Christmas a rating or anything right now. This hasn't really been a review, more of a. It's been one of the weirder discussions we've had.
You know,
We don't even really do like movie reviews on this show. Like we really do more discussion based stuff, which is why most of it's spoilers.
yeah,
Which I
this
think
was.
that fits our style better. I think I like doing it that way.
You don't
Um,
want my review. You don't want my number. I'll keep
you're
that. I'll keep
mean.
that
You're mean.
quiet.
You're feeling it tonight. But yeah, for me, obviously not for you, Miguel. For me, Black Christmas, um, it it's deserving of its title. I mean,
Of its merit.
it's cemented itself into an OG slasher movie, one of the original slasher movies, and it's cemented its place in the Hall of Fame in the horror genre for me. It has. It's earned it.
I'll agree. I'll agree with you. It's a pretty good slasher movie. Like with the way they presented Billy, I'll say this again. The way they presented Billy was actually pretty frightening. I'll agree with that. And then at the climax of it was pretty frightening as well. It was in regards to horror, like if I would have seen that at night and when I was like 10 or
Mm-hmm.
11, I would be freaked out. But I mean, I'm 24 years old, and the only thing scaring me is crippling debt from my student loans. That's pretty much all I got fearing me. So seeing Black Christmas now really it didn't really scare me all that well, but it had its freaky moments. And
Yeah.
I think during its time, whenever I think it was like in the beginning, like it's because in the 70s they were coming out with like a lot more like they were pioneering like slasher horror movies.
Mm.
I'm pretty sure that's one of the pivotal points where it was taking a turn for horror movies. Like,
It was.
yeah,
It because
that movie straight up said, okay, this is the direction we're gonna go with horror movies. Let's go with it. And look what we have now. We have a lot of great horror movies here now.
I mean, you had Psycho in the 60s, and
Mhm.
then you had The Exorcist in 73. Uh, 74 was Black Christmas and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So 74 was a big year because both of those films are huge. And then in 1978, Halloween changed the name of the game. So I mean, it was literally Psycho, Texas Chainsaw, Black Christmas, and Halloween and The Exorcist are really the five that like booted the 80s horror craze in. I mean, a lot of people credit Halloween, but you can't just credit Halloween. In my opinion, you got to give it to the five of them really because and really those four in the 70s, Texas Chainsaw, Exorcist, Black Christmas, and Halloween because I mean for me at least they really kicked it off. So
They did. I agree. I mean,
um
I would say each Psycho, Black Christmas, and The Exorcist all pulled some sort of irrational fear that we all had, without a doubt.
that's true.
And if it wasn't for those movies, we wouldn't have gotten any of these movies that we have, like Texas Chainsaw, Halloween, Freddy Krueger, the first, obviously Nightmare on Elm Streets, the first one before it became, spoofy. And
Before we got that MTV Freddy.
yeah, MTV Freddy.
He
So,
calls everybody a bitch every like 3 seconds.
exactly. I'm not gonna lie. So the director, Dave, is it who is the director of this movie?
Of which one?
Black Christmas.
Oh, Bob Clark.
Bob Clark, yeah. Bob Clark did a pretty spot on job with the horror aspects of it.
Mm.
Like when the horror aspect was there, he nailed it. Like 100% nailed the horror aspect of it. It like I'll just say it again. Like it was for most of the actual like dialogue of stuff. It was just it was pretty comedic to me. So that's the only thing I'll say. It took away from, but when the horror movie came, he nailed it. I'll give
He
him
did,
that.
and I
Yeah.
think you need that comedic relief.
Yeah, because it's kind of like
you
it's kind of
need
like
something to light. Like every time Miss Mac pulled one of that cherry whiskey bottle out of something, I would laugh. Again, I didn't. I think I probably kind of chuckled a little bit the first couple of times I saw it, but
Yo,
watching it with you, because you would be like, "Again? She's pulling it out of the toilet. She's got it in her cupboard, like
this
her medicine
bitch,
cabinet."
this bitch literally pulled out of a goddamn toilet. That toilet looked rusty as hell too. It looked like it was like in the 50s.
It's a
So
sorority toilet.
she literally went string. Oh, thank God it's still full. I was like, boy, you got tetanus all over your body, all over your throat now. I swear. And when she kept pulling stuff out of different areas, I was like, in my head, I was because like I didn't really pay attention to the beginning because I was kind of confused. Like, so she's a house mother, so she has to act as a certain way. Like she has to act like it's the moral compass for
Well,
all
she
of them.
did. She acted a certain
Yeah.
way around them.
Yeah. But then,
Or like she helped, like you could tell she helped them out. Like when they were in Claire's room looking around with her dad, she had like the sex poster of like the guy with the woman's legs are like she looks like she's doing the YMCA thing. She had that hand up there like
I was like, and also Abigail, Mr. Harris was seriously like, you're really just gonna cover that with your hand? Like I can see that shit. Like he didn't see him. He literally said, quote unquote, he was like, I don't know if I want my daughter in the sorority if it's all just gonna be drinking and sex. And she's like, no, of course not.
Yeah.
Of course not. There's no funny business here. And he's just sitting there looking at it. And he's like, okay. It just goes off. I was like, what? But yeah, I loved all the characters. All of the characters were just hilarious to me. I think that whenever it came down to like the house mother, she reeled me in for a good one. She kept me laughing.
She's definitely one of the best parts of the whole film. But let's get to the moment that you've all been waiting for. Let's talk It's Me, Billy. So, you know, as I said earlier, Miguel came over Saturday night. We watched Black Christmas and It's Me, Billy back to back. It had been a little bit while since I had seen it, so I wanted to watch them both together.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, if I would have saw It's Me, Billy, but without
you would have had no idea.
I would have had no fucking clue.
That's why I said we have to watch them.
Yeah.
You have to watch them together because you're gonna have no idea. But I'm going to issue a spoiler warning for this one because I know it's new. I know there's quite a few non-spoiler reviews out there, but again, we kind of do more of a discussion thing here. So I'm not going to do a traditional review. We're gonna discuss what we saw. So Miguel,
we're gonna spoil the movie. Okay, just know we're gonna spoil the fuck out of this short film.
After watching Black Christmas. And you know, me kind of talking you through what I've seen from Dave's channel, what I've seen and heard about over the last year. Your initial thoughts on It's Me, Billy, within the context of Black Christmas, obviously, and what we just saw.
All right, so
I thought you froze for a hot second. I thought you froze with that like weird smile on your face.
I was like, "Are you on my review?" Okay, I'll give it to you.
Go for it.
Okay, I'll be honest. It's for so I know that this is a fan film and it's been supported, which by the way, shout out to Dave McRae, because without the support of many of his fans, he probably would have not been able to make this movie. And it was like what, 25,000
crowdfunded. I don't remember the exact number, but I mean, dude, some of these fan films are getting crazy. I mean,
yeah,
what Dave and Bruce did with It's Me, Billy. I need to show you Never Hike Alone. What Vincent DeSanti has done with, because you know, Friday the 13th is locked right now. Nobody, you can't make a Friday the 13th film if you wanted to right now. It's locked in like basically a custody battle between who owns rights to what, which is why we haven't gotten a Friday the 13th movie since the remake in 2009.
Yeah.
Because Sean Cunningham and everybody's just fighting over who owns the rights to it.
I got you.
But Vincent DeSanti, he has done. He's doing a series of Friday the 13th fan films called Never Hike Alone, and then the prequel to that movie, Never Hike in the Snow, just came out. They are amazing. Same, just the way as It's Me, Billy is. They're amazing. There's another person who is doing a Cecil Laird, I believe is his name. He's doing a fan film sequel to Wes Craven's New Nightmare. So I mean, like the game is getting pushed up.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. You know, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I mean it's just it's pretty
Well,
the
I wanted
crowdfunding thing is getting crazy and it's
I
awesome.
wanted to mention that because it's like because even like this, even though this was a fan film, like it was spot on, great shots, great cinematography.
Well,
We mentioned it in the beginning of the movie, like when this movie, when the short film started, we were like, "Damn, that's pretty good." This the film of this and the way they did the drone shots and all that, it was pretty spot on. Though there was one moment where I kind of like got the moment. I kind of got the feeling, okay, this is a fan film. I throughout the entire short film, I didn't really think it was a fan film all the way up until the moment where it's like, getting to the end, she's like dragging her
when
throughout.
Billy's dragging Jess through the
Yeah, I was kind
hallway,
of
you
like,
did. I remember you mentioning that.
I was like, okay, okay. It was kind of like a short film right
I
there.
think they were
I could
going for that
tell.
shaky cam look too, though.
Yeah, and
Well,
I get it,
you
but
have to remember that the reason this thing looks so good is because a those guys work in the industry,
yeah,
like they work in the movie industry. B, they raised the money to shoot this on professional cameras. I mean, I think I remember seeing on Dave's either his Twitter or his Facebook page or something. I mean, It's Me Billy was shot on the same type of cameras that Game of Thrones and I mean all of these big time, things. The Airy, I believe, or the Airy Mini, I believe, is what the
hmm
camera's called. I'm not a cinema guy. Uh, I don't know the names of the cameras and everything, but I mean it was done as
it was
legit
done
as
professionally.
possible.
Yeah,
I
it was
mean,
done
the crew
professionally.
was professional now, albeit it was a small crew with a small cast, but they were professional. I mean, it's people who are legit. Like they do this, with big studio movies all the time. I mean, that is their
hmm
job.
Yeah, and
So
I'll be honest, it was pretty spot on. Like the cinematography of this movie was pretty well done, and with in regards to the story, like I was really like captured by the story in general because it basically did the exactly what I figured it was gonna do. Like granddaughter knows about the story, everybody knows about the story, and she's trying to live her life like trying not to think about try not to be what's it called? Defined by the horror of what happened.
Mhm.
And I thought that was
That's a good way of putting it.
really interesting the way they presented her in that area. And when it came to like the actual like horror aspects of it, it was pretty good. And I'll be honest, I was a little thrown off that it decided to actually show Billy. You know what I mean? It didn't show his
Well,
face,
they
but it
showed him
showed
a
Billy.
yeah,
Yeah, so like it showed him like it showed his full body, like it showed
right,
what he looked like
right.
as an old man, as compared to Black Christmas where you didn't see him. It was all like first person point of view.
Mhm.
And I think the first person point of view, it's a really that's I'm pretty sure that's a real 70s thing. I'll be honest. And but it worked. It showed it that idea of first person of the killer was pretty frightening to be honest because it kind of made you like it
Yeah.
made you be inside with Billy like you were like
Well,
there and
it's
you
also
were there
paying
with his
homage.
thoughts.
It's also paying homage to the original film too.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but and again, this is why I kind of like the fact that you and I like think differently about horror, especially because it's two different perspectives. Like, and again, I've been watching Dave for going on 2 years now, so like I mean, like I remember the day that they announced this was happening. Of course, and you just got introduced to the whole thing Saturday night, pretty much, except for like when we did the trailer reaction and stuff. But for me, I think the biggest compliment that I can give the movie is that it makes me appreciate the original one even more. All of the aesthetics, the mood, the atmosphere, as Dave would put it, uh,
hmm
the sound world and the soundscape that they built. Billy himself, it screams Black Christmas. Like the whole thing, it screams the original film, and I feel like we are playing around in the same world. It's
hmm
incredible. I mean, they built on and expanded on what Bob Clark did with the original one. And I mean, I said this on Twitter, after we had watched it, and I posted the picture, and I'm going to say it again. What Dave and Bruce and the cast and crew of this movie did, and what Vincent DeSanti is doing with Never Hike in the Snow and Never Hike Alone, and what these guys are doing with these crowd-funded professional fan films is raising the bar of what a fan film can be.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with the people who go out with their DSLR and, make fan films in their backyard, because let's be real, there are some incredible fan films shot with Canon cameras and stuff. There really are
so many like fan film Star Wars pictures of just different stories that they tell themselves, like fan films, and they're pretty good. They're pretty good. The CGI, the cinematography of it, the action sequence, bar none, way better than the choreography that I see now, obviously with like, the new saga, because we can talk about that later. But yeah, it just goes to show that most of these fan films are actually like raising the bar right now in regards of like how fan films are.
Right.
And Dave McRae's rendition of this movie, or sequel, I suppose, really set the tone for how fan films are going to be for the next coming years.
Right.
And in regards to like, so I'm just talking about how like the way fan films are being made, like they're really setting the tone. And whenever it comes down in the next coming years, we may end up having like fan films becoming like the hot new rave, where it's like common for us to watch them.
Well,
like, they're just as exciting as a new movie coming out.
Yeah. And it's funny because I think to some extent you almost kind of have to tiptoe a little bit, because obviously they don't own the rights to Black Christmas. Blumhouse still owns the rights. So I think there has to be a little bit of like
wiggle room.
You can't step on the studio too much, because then I think they can shut your shit down.
Which they did a pretty good job, because obviously they've been shut down.
Yeah, like that's why you were talking about like fan films filmed with like DSLRs, or even your iPhone, dude. iPhones can, the cameras that they have on some phones now are ridiculous. It's like you can get a 4K image out of a smartphone.
Yeah, see, I just tried to do it before the podcast, but it failed.
And we were having problems.
And it's whatever. I'll figure out some other time.
Yeah, but it's been really cool as a fan, as as somebody who's watched Dave's show. And it's been really cool to watch this thing come to life. It really has been. I once heard Dave say in one of his McRae live episodes that, their goal was to answer questions of the first film, but also, raise new ones. And dude, that's what they did. Like, I'm proud to.
What questions were answered?
We got a few. We obviously you want to know what happened to Jess after. Was it really Peter? Was it not Peter?
Oh, okay.
There's quite a few, and I think it raises a ton of questions.
Fuck
At least for me, it raises. Like
the last 15 minutes, I was like, "What the fuck?"
The last 10 minutes of this movie, I was like, "What?" I loved it. It was great, but I was like, "Holy shit, we are off the rails here. Like, this is not at all where I expected it to go."
Here's my opinion right now with the last 10 minutes. It's going, like, the way they ended the show, it made it seem like we're gonna get to know who or why Billy is the way he is.
Yeah.
And you obviously know, like the way I was talking about Black Christmas, like the reason why Black Christmas works so well is because you don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're so funny.
And you talked about this before, and we've talked about this before. Like, the beauty of a true villain and scary person is that you don't know it's a mystery.
Right.
And it made it seem like he was going to, like, at the end, like, it's going to describe who he was. Because also, when you got the white bitch that just, like, came out of nowhere, the second whenever
I felt like I got slapped across the face when I saw her chloroform her in the car. I was like, what?
Also, no. When she started driving by and she just calmly went in the car and she said, "What happened?" I was like, "Bitch, you in on this. Don't give me that." Well, I was like, so then I was just waiting for the moment where I was like, she's going to do something that was going to, like, trick her. Well, obviously it was a chloroform thing. And I was like, what?
when she said, "Oh, something ran across the road," and they both looked confused or whatever, I was like, "Oh crap, Billy's about to come crashing through the car window, and he's gonna kill Agnes, and then Sam's gonna have to run or whatever." And then I saw when she was like, "Do you see anything out your window?" I was like,
Sus.
"What?"
I don't know why I didn't think of this. I didn't say this in Black Christmas. You remember you know how like in Black Christmas you remember when we were watching it how like everything whenever something happened and I would say sus activated or sus intensified.
Yeah.
There's so many moments in that. That right there was just a pure like sus moment. The second she told her, "Do you see something on your side?" My sus meter went skirt. I was like, nope, sus intensified. This is really sus, bitch. Get out the door. Get out the Prius.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was also whenever she took her back and she was like calling for Billy, it made it seem like Agnes is related to Billy.
She is. It's her brother.
Is it?
Said that. Yeah, it said that. I just dropped the cap to my pen. Yeah, cause at the beginning of the movie, when we just think that she was Jess's neighbor or something like that, she says like my brother and I live wherever or whatever, like next door or however long. It's her brother. Yeah.
Oh
It's
shit.
her brother. Let's talk about Act 1. For me, at least kind of what my take on it, Act 1 was really about building the backstory behind and kind of connecting the dots of where the end of the first movie was and the beginning of It's Me, Billy, and building the context and filling that gap. And they did an amazing job with creating history, expanding on the story of and what happened in the original one. Let's talk about, well, first of all, I gotta say this, Victoria Marrow, Shelby Hanley, and Malaika Henney fucking killed it in this movie.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Like, they blew me away. They really did. Fantastic job to them. They had two. Victoria and Shelby actually liked our Instagram post.
Yeah, shout out
Saturday
to you.
night,
Shout out to
that
you.
was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we
They
really
did-
appreciate that. You guys were awesome. And
Yeah.
the whole, top to bottom, hands down, you guys were amazing. But
I think whenever there's a but. Oh,
no,
they're doing pretty good.
That sounded really
Oh,
bad.
like,
I didn't
no,
mean that like that at all.
You're about to bash these two?
No.
Okay.
What were you gonna say? I had a point and I lost it. I don't remember what I was gonna say.
I just wanted to mention like the actor because they did a pretty spot on job to like set the scene for like these these three friends. It was kind of like because the way she said it, we're all basically like sisters. It was like, okay, that's pretty much paying to homage to the whole sorority house thing.
Yeah.
And the way the grand, which by the way, I'm sorry guys, like my memory is so bad, so I can't remember your guys' names. But the granddaughter,
Sam.
Yeah, Sam. When Sam was like, describing like the whole story about like what happened with her grandmother and her mother, like all of that, it really connected the dots for me. I could tell that she was obviously distraught by the whole thing. Like this act has really affected generations. And because like I mean her mother's the one that should be the one that's affected a lot by it.
Well, she was, and I'm glad you're bringing this up because so obviously when Jess was pregnant in the first film, she was pregnant with Sam's mom.
Yeah.
I actually went back today and rewatched the scene where Sam and Emma are standing outside and they're kind of chatting a little bit because
that was a pivotal moment.
There were a few things that I even kind of caught and that I didn't pick up on Saturday night when we watched it. When we first meet Agnes, when Malaika's character Justine first pulls up to the house, and Agnes actually says, I was a big fan of your grandmother's. I read all of her books, and she had seen her interviews or whatever. So that sets up context of Jess Bradford she didn't just let it go. It wasn't a deep, dark secret. She talked about it. She wrote books about it. She had
Yep.
public interviews and appearances about it. In a way, and I don't know if they intentionally did this, probably not, but in a way, she's kind of like an anti, like a foil to Laurie Strode in the new Halloween timeline, because Laurie kind of became a recluse. Like, and I know you haven't seen Halloween 2018 yet, but Jamie Lee Curtis's character in that film kind of like became, she's a badass and she's prepared, but it's like the idea of Michael escaping and the idea of the possibility of him coming back made her like doomsday prepper, kind of like psycho. She keeps to herself, she doesn't talk to anybody. Jess's character in It's Me Billy is kind of the opposite, because she did talk about it. She's obviously got a little bit of money from talking about it, you know? She has made it very public, and I'm sure she did have a little bit of Laurie Strode in her where she kind of had to prepare. She was like, you know, when Sam says, you know, the police said Peter did it, but I think she started to have doubts, you know, they kind of laced the Jess was unsure whether or not Peter really did it or whether Billy was still out there. And I think, you know, you got to think about that, from Sam's mom's perspective, from the daughter. That would screw you up. Constantly having that would kind of traumatize you. And we know from that conversation out on the porch, Sam's mom had some issues. She had alcohol issues. What was your take on this, that she killed herself, Sam's mom, Jess's daughter?
Yeah, I think alcohol.
I kind of, I don't know. I could be wrong. They didn't really say, but I kind of got the vibe that she committed suicide. That was,
she like
I don't know. That
like,
was the vibe I got from that scene.
Like like I said, like this whole thing was affected like 3 generations of that family, and obviously the mother was the one that was most affected by it. Well, no, the grandmother obviously was, but in regards to like the aftermath of it, the mother was obviously the one most affected by it, because if you think about it, I mean, technically she survived this horrible thing while still be in her mother's belly, and then she had to grow up with that story, and then she has to grow up with the grandma having doubts that it even was Peter, her dad. So she's constantly thinking, well, if it wasn't my dad, then obviously she killed him for no legitimate reason, and that'll mess you up.
I didn't even think about that too. Yeah, that's a good point.
That'll make you grab a bottle.
Well, and of course, like Sam even says to Emma at one point, you know, she says like, my mom's relationship with my grandma, like, it became more about the Belmont murders than it did them being mother-daughter. So I don't know, maybe the combination of the fact that Jess did talk about it and the fact that Jess did do interviews, and she did write books about it and things like that. And we actually see some of the books when she goes up to like Billy's attic in the house, and there's the books and stuff laying there, and you kind of see that she did talk about it publicly. And of course they said that she had prank calls and things like that, like people would call her and screw with her, which is messed up. That's messed up. You know, I thought that was so creative. Like, I'm glad, even though we didn't necessarily get, we didn't get Jess Bradford as an old woman in this film directly. We didn't get her in this film.
Yeah.
I still felt like she was there almost. Like I felt like her character,
her presence,
the presence of her character and her character. Like, we got the explanation, we got the after of like, well, what happened after, you know? And I thought that was one of my favorite parts of the whole film, really, because they just did such a good job in filling in that context and the backstory behind all of that. And of course, you know, going back to Sam, you know, we talked about Jess, we talked about her daughter. Sam even has a little bit of trauma, because obviously Sam remembers her talking about the murders. She remembers her the fights between her and her mom and their relationship. Because at one point, Sam actually says, I've got to start taking care of myself. Like, she doesn't want to become like what her mom became.
Mm-hmm.
And she's obviously close. Like when she walks up and picks up the granddaughter ornament or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she was obviously close to her grandmother, possibly even closer to Jess than she was to her own mom. So
Yeah.
I don't. There's definitely trauma there, and there's definitely issues there. And like you said, I mean, if you knew your mom killed your dad, and maybe she did it for no reason, even if he was a selfish prick, that'd screw you up. Even if your mom was always going on these interviews and talking about how she survived this horrible traumatic event, it'd probably screw you up. If she was trying to prepare you, if in case something like that ever happened to you, it'd probably screw you up.
Yeah.
So the context and the backstory was perfect. It was exactly what the story needed. It was exactly what it needed. I loved it.
Yeah. And because like in regards to like trauma, I mean, like it was very you could definitely tell that it affected all three of them, and it affected all three of them in different ways. And
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of how
For
trauma
sure.
is,
Yeah.
because like obviously Sam wasn't there. She didn't experience that massacre, but the trauma of both her grandmother and her mother was transferred to
It's
her
been passed
just
down
based.
through two
Yeah.
generations. So she's
Yeah.
getting like two versions of the same story,
Yep. Yep. And like trauma is like trauma is like an emotion that doesn't have its home, that you can't give it a home. It's
Right.
just there, and
And it
that can
eats at
really
you.
mess you up. It eats you up because you don't have a place to put it in your own mind. So it's just there, and you have to. And some people are unfortunately are not able to grasp it and give it a home, so it can be what's it called? So it can be rectified or reassured or
You
processed.
you
It
can't
can't be
put it away
processed.
very
Yeah.
easily.
Yeah, you can't take this moment and process it correctly because of all the shit that's happened, because
Right.
she probably got like, I don't know, what, two different stories maybe, or maybe three, because you have the grandmother, you have her mom, and then you have the newsreels, and then you have the books. Yeah, you have
Yeah.
so many lines of like different stories of how this event happened and how it's
Hmm.
affected the grandmother and her mother. So obviously this thing, right, this event has affected her despite her actually being there. And I
Right.
think that's important to mention because the way she acts with this whole thing is, again, I don't want to be defined by this
Hmm. Exactly.
massacre that happened, so she's just blowing it off. She doesn't
Right.
want to acknowledge it at all, which is why whenever the phone calls happen, she just assumes it's a prank call, because
Absolutely.
it's like, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. This is why. But I think her wanting to see the house, you remember she said she wanted to see the house but they wouldn't let her in.
Yeah.
Like that was her, like her moment of saying like, okay, I want to be able to acknowledge
Make my
what
peace
happened,
with
make
this.
my peace with this despite it not affecting me, like
Hmm.
at its very core.
Well, and she also mentioned that the fact that Jess died, or she thought she died before, her mom and her could ever make, like, Sam never got to see her mom and her grandmother make up,
Hmm.
which was another point of, you know, stress, and it was just an added piece of stress to an already difficult puzzle.
Yeah, exactly. And it's good that she had friends around her that was able to help her like steer in some good
Hmm.
direction, help her cope with it to some degree. Because you
Right.
remember she was actually like distraught when the prank call happened, and
Oh
her friends
yeah,
were there
yeah,
to reassure her. She's like, I want to make
yeah.
sure you're okay.
Right.
And I think that was really a really nice sentiment to how her friends have been for her. How they've been for her like sisters, obviously. And
Absolutely.
but when it came down to like the actual like horror aspect and the killing, my God, that shit went from 0 to 100 real quick. And one thing I do like is how they paid homage to a lot of the movies, like both murders, pretty much. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Both
Yeah.
both killings, except for obviously the house mother that got hooked. Um, the what's her name? The drunk woman, drunk girl, how she died, and then the first girl, Claire, is it?
Yeah, well, you know, Act Two is where it really started to hit the fan. Like the shit
Yeah.
started to hit the fan. And I started to get real, like you just said, they paid homage to the original film. I started to get real hardcore Black Christmas vibes at that point. You know,
Yeah.
watching the girls through the window while they ate dinner, Justine and Emma's deaths. We got our first real look at Billy. By the way, did you notice that they were watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre on the iPad?
I was I was trying to like figure it out. I was like, are they? I thought they were playing Black Christmas.
No, that would
I
have been
thought that would
cool,
have been
but
cool. I thought that would have been cool,
it
but
also maybe would have ripped you out of the movie a little bit. But Texas
mm,
Chainsaw, it's another 1974 horror movie, which is pretty
mm,
cool. So let's talk Justine's death. That was the one that really got me, and again, that was where I had like it screamed Black Christmas. So the fake out at the beginning when because she's facing was she facing away from the door? Yes. At first, she was facing away from the door,
mm.
and then she rolled over and he was gone. And then I was like, "Oh crap, he's gonna be on the other side of her," and of course he was. And then when she like rolls over and you just get his silhouette with like the long gray hair. I was like, like it's
Yeah.
creepy and it's weird and it's in real Billy fashion. And I know you had mentioned that we do see Billy and we see like what he looks like in his silhouette, but at the same time, it's not 1974 anymore. You got to show a little bit more because audiences today want to see a little bit more, you know.
Yeah.
But again, they didn't show. It wasn't too overly bloody. It wasn't too much. It was an homage to Barb's death, I think. Really, you had two homages in there because you had he was stabbing her in bed, and then you also had the one of my favorite shots in the whole film when he's on top of her and you're getting her POV of looking up at him and all you see is that little triangle of his eye. That was like an
Yeah.
homage to the eye thing when you just see his eye through the little crack in the door. That was a really good that it was a really good homage and a really good reference to the original. That was probably the
There
most
was
that was the one death in the film that like
yeah.
like kind
Because
of
I don't
like
know. I don't know what you got stabbed with. What was it? A pencil?
no, it was like I think it was a letter opener.
Oh, I about to
I
say if it
think it
was a
was a letter
pencil.
opener.
I was gonna say like, man, this girl got John Wicked hard. She got John Wick.
And then
But
of course, I think you were
I
gonna
was
mention
I was
Emma's
gonna
death.
mention yeah, Emma's death too, because that was a huge homage. Because at the end, near the end, I thought it was gonna end right there.
I did too.
Yeah, when it started like zooming into Claire's death,
I'm very glad it didn't,
or
but
what's
I
her
thought it
name?
was gonna end there too.
Yeah,
Emma.
Emma. Whenever
Yeah.
it showed her corpse right there, that's like
Yeah.
there was a I don't want to say it. I was because you remember like in Black Christmas how I was kind of making fun of all the acting, and then I said the only good acting was Claire whenever she had the bag over her face and she was playing dead. She was being dead.
I don't remember you saying that now.
Yeah, I
Oh my
said that.
god.
I said that. I was like, that's the only good acting I see right there. Her playing dead. But
Well,
I think but her death right there was definitely a huge homage because
yeah.
I mean Claire's death in Black Christmas was like the the main focus of this movie. It was you're trying to find her,
You
and they
kept
didn't
coming
find her.
back to it, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, she was there. Like you could all you had to do was look, and
Right.
you will find her. But she wasn't there. But no one, but they never found her.
Yeah.
And it made me wonder with Emma's death. It was like, was it Agnes that technically did it? If you think about it, because
I don't
You didn't see Billy like do anything to Emma.
we didn't see it.
You just saw the curtains rush.
I think it's Billy. I think Billy killed both of them. But as you bring that up, let's talk about Act 3. Act 3 was my favorite part, obviously. I mean, we hit the climax when Sam wakes up and realizes that they're both dead. I think my favorite
By the way, I would never sleep with headphones on. I was like that obviously an irrational fear of mine. Don't want to miss anything happening in my house. But yeah, it's just that right there. I was like, damn, that music gotta be loud. And you mentioned it too. You mentioned like she's sleeping to this song. It's kind of hard to sleep to a song
That
like
song was a
that.
bop, and she was
That
sleeping
song
to
was
it.
a bop. Yeah, I'd be sleeping. I'd be sleeping like this. I'd be like, I'll be here napping, but they'll be like, just like calmly, like just bopping to this tune. And obviously, because she's bopping to that tune, she missed all of her friends' death. Which, by the way, I mean, who was the girl that got stabbed with the pencil? I mean, the whatever.
Justine.
Justine. When Justine was dying, hell, she was screaming. She was
Yeah, she
screaming.
was.
And
Well,
but
Billy was screaming too.
yeah,
Yeah,
I would
that one that was the one death in the movie that really like got me. But one of my favorite shots, probably my favorite shot in the whole film, was after Sam finds them and she creeps up the stairs, and when we get to the hallway, we get the long hallway shot, and really the color in the movie up until that point, the lighting had been cooler and the coloring had been cooler. After when she hit that hallway and the Christmas lights were going up the stairs and it like lined the stairs, it was first of all, it was a huge shift in the color and the aesthetic of the movie as a whole. The rest of the movie, except for when she got outside to the car and at the very tail end, was a warmer color, and it was because they were in the attic. And it's kind of a cool like juxtaposition between because when you think those warm Christmassy colors, like you think that the lights were those like classic ceramic Christmas lights. You know what I'm talking about, where it's that real warm, vibrant color. When you think that real warm Christmas light color, it's a warm feeling. You think the holidays, you think comfort stuff, and this is not comfortable at all by any means. So it's like kind of a nice like play on that. But that shot as she's going up the stairs with the Christmas lights is beautiful. I mean, it was just that shot was amazing. It's probably my favorite shot in the whole thing. But when she found her in the attic, dude, I was like, oh my God. I mean, Victoria Merrow killed it right then, because, and I even kind of thought of, not Margot Kidder, Olivia Hussey playing Jess in the original. Jess holds it together pretty well through the whole movie. Sam holds it pretty well through the whole movie. And both of them had a point where it was like their breaking point. And Sam lost it when she saw her wrapped in the Christmas lights. I was like, oh, crap, man. She did a really, really good job with that scene. Now, here's where I was like, what? When she was sitting there and the phone rang and she picked up the OG phone and she's hearing Billy's voice or whatever. That wasn't Billy doing the voice, because Billy was 2 feet above her head. When I saw when I heard him and I saw his hand come down, I was like, what's going on right now? And then she took off, and obviously we had the big Agnes twist, which I felt like I got punched in the face after I saw that. I was like, what? When she chloroformed her and she got Sam back to the house and she was like, Billy, get your ass down here, whatever she screamed at him. Agnes was the one calling, which is
bonkers,
wild to me. Like wild. And that raises a big question. Did Billy have help in the original movie?
Are you telling me there were 2 people in that fucking attic making calls?
I don't know. I don't know, because obviously the cops traced the call in Black Christmas. The calls were coming from inside the house. And we never saw anybody else. But again, that was something, it was really smart of Bruce and Dave to do that, because and I said at the beginning of the episode tonight, that was a twist that I don't think anyone saw coming. I certainly did not at all. And again, the other big question is, of course, when we get to the end, we get Billy dragging Sam down the hallway. He throws her, he locks her in the room, And then, of course, she turns around and says, Grandma. And, of course, that's supposed to be Olivia Hussey's character, Jess, as an old woman standing there in the room with her. Or chained up. You could hear kind of chains rattling. Maybe they've had her chained up in there. Why the hell is Billy keeping them alive? Why is Jess locked in the room?
What connection does he have with them?
That's my question. Jess escaped. I mean, Jess was like the one that got away.
Yeah.
And of course, Sam is her granddaughter.
But you know what I mean? Like he killed all of the sorority sisters, but even though Hussey got away, like why did she just end up capturing her?
That's what I'm saying.
Right away.
The biggest question I have moving forward, and I assume we're moving forward. I mean, Dave said Dave said on his Facebook last night that they hope this is not the end. Like they want to continue. They have expressed interest in it continuing. Why does Billy want to keep Jess and Sam in the room? Why are Agnes and Billy keeping them locked away when they could very easily kill them both? I mean, like, why? That's my big question. Is like, what's their end game? What's their goal? Why?
Yeah.
Is it really just to keep them locked up in the basement? Because that's a little strange to me, especially for somebody who is as deranged and as wild and multiple split personality, maybe schizophrenic, whatever, as Billy. Why just keep them there? But that twist ending, man, it left me wanting more. Like it left me wanting to see where it goes. Like I don't know, man. It was such a curveball from where I really didn't like. I had
for
kind
me,
of an
it was
idea
actually
of where this movie was going to go, and it completely screwballed my expectations, and I love that for it because like I said before, it's rare that you get a horror movie that genuinely does that and really like 360s you and just rips the rug out from under you and you have no idea what's going on. So very good job with the twist.
Very good job. This It's Me Billy is by far it's one of my favorite fan films to this date. And I know I said I was gonna like rip It's Me Billy too. I was just like in the mood for Black Christmas.
I know what you
I
meant.
was just really in the mood for Black Christmas. But I think It's Me Billy straight up a spot on sequel and a nail on a I don't know the fucking phrase.
Hit the nail on the head.
Hit the nail on the head in regards to like I couldn't say it the other night too. But yeah, It's Me Billy. Really good job for paying homage to Black Christmas and also
as I sneeze.
And also keeping the mystery alive.
Yeah.
Basically. Because to be honest, Black Christmas was a mysterious movie.
Oh,
at
absolutely.
The end.
This not only kept the mystery alive, it furthered it.
Yeah, 100%.
Apparently it's making me sneeze. I don't know why. But yeah, it furthered the mystery. It again, just like Dave said, we talked about at the beginning of the episode. It answered questions from the original, but it asks so much more. I mean, this movie asks more than it answered, in my opinion. And that's good. That's the way it should be. Again, I hate horror movies that just give it all to you on a silver platter.
Okay. Oh, it's a sneeze. I agree.
Forgive me. I don't know why I'm sneezing. But yeah,
I'm excited to see if I'm pretty sure that with the reaction that we're getting right now with It's Me Billy, it's definitely going to get enough funding to do like I guess a fan.
Oh yeah, I'll contribute to it again. I mean, I was happy to contribute to the first one. And
I'll contribute to the second one.
I was happy to contribute to Never Hike in the Snow too. I will gladly contribute to these Indiegogo campaigns and this crowdfunding campaign because I genuinely like this stuff. I think it was so well done. I genuinely hope that Jason Blum over at Blumhouse, who owns the rights to Black Christmas, because they did I don't know if you even know this. They did a Black Christmas remake in 2019.
I remember. I seen that
Miguel,
one.
I couldn't get through it. It is
Let me double check.
nothing like the original. I
Let me
mean,
double
like
check
it
that.
is. I think they tried to do like a Rob Zombie's Halloween type thing, like a reimagining of it. It sucks. It's ball sack. Like I literally can't get through it. I haven't seen it all the way through still. But I genuinely hope that Jason Blum sees this and sees the success. And that he gives Dave and Bruce the reins a little bit. Give Dave the reins. They've proven that this is a viable franchise, and it's not a throwaway. It's not something that people aren't going to care about if you market it the right way. And if you use the OG Black Christmas and It's Me, Billy, and you catapult off of that, you can tell a really good story. Give them the reins, give them the money. Same thing with Vincent DeSanti. Uh, Man, once all this Friday the 13th bullshit clears up with the lawsuits and the copyright claims,
Yeah.
give Vincent the reins, man. Let him do a Never Hike Alone thing. I mean, there's so much viable content with these IPs, and I just give it to the people who are going to do it right, man. And Dave and Bruce are going to do it right. And I would hope that obviously Victoria Mera would come back. I would hope that a lot of their same crew would come back. Of course, if it's a bigger production, they're going to need a bigger crew. But I hope that Greg Bennett and all of their cast and crew would come back to do the second one. I know he's a busy guy, but I will probably reach out to Dave at some point and see if we can get him on the show. I'd love to pick his brain about it a little bit more because I have questions for him that I would love to ask and love to kind of shoot the shit with him and see, see what he thinks. So I'll reach out to Dave at some point. But you and I got to get rolling for commentaries for both of these.
We do.
We do at Christmas time. We got to get on a commentary for both of these movies. That'd be a good time. So I am gonna give It's Me, Billy a rating. I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10.
Damn.
Yep. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.
And
I say that because it is solid from beginning to end. The whole thing is solid. There is there's nothing that I really thought like, I'm okay with that. I don't really like that. Every single thing, I felt like it made sense. Obviously, if it was a feature-length film, you'd have a little bit more breathing room in there. There could be a little bit more exposition. There'd be a little bit more, world building and, different settings and things like that. But, I mean, from beginning to end, this thing was solid. It made sense. It built upon the lore and the story from the original film, and it carried it forward. And it left it room to grow. Like it left it a place to go with that ending. Again, I didn't expect it to be a twist ending where it left on kind of a cliffhanger, but I'm really glad that it did. I am genuinely glad that it did. So it's a 9 out of 10 for me.
That's good. I give it 8.5.
Okay.
And that's mainly because of how can I say this? The predictability of the twist, pretty much. Kind of.
You thought it was predictable?
That at the very end with the at the very end is the one that really got me. The twist with the grandma. That one caught me off guard. But with whenever she was with Agnes, I kind of saw that coming. As soon as she started pulling up, I was like,
I'm not gonna lie. It's funny that her name is Agnes because I think WandaVision.
It
was Agnes all along. The little jingle. I was like, it was Agnes all along. But that was
it's pretty much like I said. It was like whenever I saw Agnes and she was getting in the car and the way she was acting in that car, it was literally my sus meter just shot through the roof. I was like, I don't know about this bitch. I don't know about her. I would push that car off. I would turn that Prius off, just turn it off and just run. Just saying. Yeah. So I give it 8.5. And also because, it's a fan film and it does have some of its moments in regards to the cinematography. But overall, with like acting and the whole overall story of it, it's a solid movie. Like I give the storyline of it all a 9. But in
Absolutely.
regards of a movie as a whole, I give it like an 8.5.
Yeah. Story's a 10 for me. Whole thing is a 9. But congratulations to Dave McRae, Bruce Dale, the cast and crew of It's Me, Billy, Victoria Miro, Shelby Hanley, and Malika Henney. You guys nailed it. Amazing, amazing, amazing job. Again, it was really, really cool to watch this thing come to life. That is going to do it for episode 23 of Let's Talk Movies. Thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day and hanging out with us tonight. Please, if you're watching on YouTube, leave us a comment. What do you think of Black Christmas, and what did you think of It's Me, Billy? And if you're listening on Spotify or any of the other podcast platforms, tweet at us at We Talk the Movies. Let us know what you think. In case you missed it, please check out last Friday's episode of Let's Talk Movie News. We had a huge episode talking MCU news, DCEU news, horror movie stories, just all kinds of crazy stuff coming out of the movie news world, and that was a really good time. If you would, please check out our Twitter and our Instagram accounts at We Talk the Movies. We hope that everything is great in your world, and we'll talk to you all soon. Have a great week. See ya.
See ya.